Behind the glossy promises of vision boards and affirmations lies a deeper secret, a truth rarely spoken. Manifestation is not about wishful thinking or chasing desires, but about aligning with the infinite intelligence within you, the creative force that shapes reality itself. It requires no ritual, no gimmick, only your awareness, your intention, and your unwavering faith. This is not a guide of empty tricks, but a revelation of the hidden laws that turn thought into form and belief into destiny. The universe is not withholding from you, it mirrors you. Every delay, every struggle, every breakthrough is its language, showing you the unseen patterns of your own mind. Prepare to uncover the missing key. They never told you the sacred union of mind, word, and faith that bends reality. This is the path where the unseen becomes seen, where the improbable becomes inevitable, and where the truth finally sets your power free. Chapter 1: The Secret Beneath the Secret. What if the reason your affirmations fail is not that the law is broken, but that you are applying it backwards? What if every moment you are already manifesting, even when you swear nothing is happening? Joseph Murphy taught that manifestation is not something you begin, but something you direct. The subconscious is always at work, obeying every impression it receives. The problem is not that it ignores you, but that it listens too well. Why does this matter? Because the words you mutter in complaint carry the same power as your carefully crafted affirmations. The subconscious does not pause to weigh intention. It acts on every thought, every feeling, every casual remark you make throughout your day. It cannot distinguish between what you want and what you fear. It simply receives and creates. Think about this. When you wake up and immediately think about your problems, you are programming your inner creative force. When you scroll through social media and feel envious of others' success while lamenting your own circumstances, you are manifesting. When you complain to friends about your financial struggles, your difficult relationships, your health concerns, you are giving precise instructions to the most powerful creative mechanism you possess. The subconscious mind operates like fertile soil. It does not judge the seeds you plant, it simply grows whatever you give it. Plant roses, and roses bloom. Plant thorns, and thorns flourish. Most people plant gardens of worry, anxiety, and limitation, then wonder why their harvest disappoints them. How do you change this? By becoming conscious of the seeds you plant. Instead of scattering weeds of worry, you speak deliberately, with faith and gratitude. You monitor your mental diet as carefully as your physical one. You realize that every word, every thought, every emotional state is an act of creation. Murphy often told of people who declared abundance but complained daily of bills. They would spend 5 minutes in morning meditation affirming prosperity, then spend the remaining hours discussing their financial problems with anyone who would listen. The subconscious obeyed the complaint, not the desire, and lack persisted. When they reversed the order, speaking only of sufficiency, focusing only on evidence of abundance, training their attention on gratitude rather than scarcity, the tide turned. This is not about positive thinking or denial of reality. This is about understanding that your reality is constantly being shaped by the dominant patterns of your consciousness. You are not trying to convince the universe to give you something. You are directing the creative power that is already yours. Most seekers approach manifestation like they are trying to start a car with a dead battery. They push and strain, wondering why nothing happens, but the engine is already running. It has been running your entire life. The question is not whether you can manifest. The question is, what are you manifesting right now? Every moment, your subconscious receives blueprints from your conscious thoughts and feelings. It builds precisely according to these specifications. The secret hidden from many seekers is simple. You are never not manifesting. The question is, what blueprint are you handing the architect within? Chapter 2: The Forgotten Architect. Have you ever wondered why the same struggles repeat in your life, as though some unseen hand keeps rebuilding the same structure? The The same financial crises appear year after year. The same relationship patterns emerge with different people. The same health issues resurface despite your best efforts. It feels like destiny, like some cosmic joke being played at your expense. But Joseph Murphy called that hand the subconscious mind, the silent architect of destiny. What is it? The builder that never sleeps, tirelessly translating every impression into form. While you rest, it works. While you doubt, it creates. While you wonder why nothing changes, it methodically constructs tomorrow's experiences from today's mental materials. It receives every thought you think, every word you speak, every emotion you feel, and treats them all as architectural specifications. This architect possesses unlimited resources and flawless skill. It can build mansions of success or hovels of limitation with equal precision. It can construct bridges to your dreams or walls that block them. The quality of its work never varies, only the blueprints change. Why do outcomes repeat? Because the architect works only with the plans it is given, and most of those plans are old, drawn from childhood, fear, or careless speech. You inherited templates from parents who struggled. You absorbed patterns from a culture of limitation. You've been handing the same worn blueprints to your inner architect for decades, then expressing surprise when it builds the same structures over and over. Consider the woman who always attracts unavailable partners. She doesn't consciously choose heartbreak, yet her subconscious holds blueprints drawn from early experiences of abandonment. The architect faithfully constructs relationships that match these specifications. Or the entrepreneur who sabotages every success just before breakthrough. His inner builder works from childhood plans that equate achievement with danger, so it dismantles what it creates to keep him safe. How can you change it? By handing it new blueprints, affirmations, spoken with conviction, images impressed with emotion, feelings lived as present reality. But here lies the challenge. The architect cannot distinguish between imagination and memory, between what you want and what you fear, between conscious intention and unconscious programming. It simply builds what feels most real to you. This is why casual affirmations often fail. You cannot hand a builder flimsy sketches and expect a cathedral. The new plans must be impressed with greater emotional intensity than the old ones. They must be repeated until they feel more real than current circumstances. They must be lived in imagination until they become the dominant pattern in your consciousness. Murphy often told of a man trapped in cycles of failure, always saying, "Things never work out for me." Every setback confirmed his belief. Every disappointment strengthened the blueprint. The subconscious accepted this as law and constructed failure with precision. Failed businesses, broken relationships, missed opportunities, all built exactly according to his specifications. When he finally understood the process, he replaced the decree with "everything I do prospers." But words alone were insufficient. He had to feel prosperity, see evidence of it, live as though it were already true. Gradually, the old blueprints faded and new structures appeared. The architect had simply followed new plans. The hidden truth is that your subconscious is not your enemy. It is the most faithful servant you will ever know. It never questions your orders, never judges your desires, never refuses your requests. It builds exactly what you order, whether ruin or renewal. The choice of blueprints remains eternally yours. Chapter 3. The power they told you was too simple. Why do people search for mystical rituals when the power is already on their tongue? They seek crystals, candles, and elaborate ceremonies, believing manifestation requires complex formulas and ancient secrets. They travel to sacred sites, purchase expensive courses, and memorize intricate visualizations, all while missing the most potent creative force they possess. Could it be that truth was hidden not by difficulty, but by its simplicity? The answer lies closer than breath itself. Every word you speak carries creative power. Every casual remark plants seeds in fertile consciousness. Every throwaway comment becomes tomorrow's experience. Yet most people treat their speech like worthless currency, scattering it carelessly throughout their days. Joseph Murphy declared that words are not idle. They are living forces that shape reality with mathematical precision. Every I am you speak is a decree impressed upon the subconscious. When you say I am broke, you are not merely describing your current financial state, you are programming your future. When you declare I am unlucky, you are not just expressing frustration, you are issuing orders to the creative mechanism within. What is the hidden power? Speech fused with belief. Words without conviction are empty shells. But words backed by genuine feeling, spoken with unwavering faith, become irresistible commands to the subconscious mind. The combination creates a force that reshapes circumstances, attracts opportunities, and transforms the very fabric of experience. Why does it matter? Because the subconscious hears every word, even the ones you dismiss as jokes. It cannot distinguish between sarcasm and sincerity, between complaints and confessions, between what you mean and what you say. It simply receives the emotional charge behind your words and begins creating accordingly. Consider how often you sabotage yourself with casual speech. I never have enough money. Good things don't happen to people like me. I always mess things up. Nothing ever works out. Each statement is a prayer to the universal, creative force, a request that gets answered with frightening accuracy. The subconscious mind operates like a recording device that never stops running. It captures your self-talk during traffic jams, your complaints during lunch breaks, your worried whispers late at night. These moments of unguarded speech often carry more emotional intensity than your formal affirmations, which is why they manifest with such disturbing reliability. How do you use it? By guarding speech as sacred, choosing words that affirm harmony, health, and abundance. This requires vigilance at first, catching yourself mid-complaint, stopping destructive words before they fully form, consciously redirecting your verbal patterns toward what you desire rather than what you fear. Murphy told of a woman who always said, "I'm sick and tired." She spoke these words dozens of times each day when frustrated with work, annoyed with family, overwhelmed by responsibilities. The phrase became her automatic response to stress. In time, her body matched her decree. Chronic fatigue set in. Mysterious illnesses appeared. Her health deteriorated in direct proportion to her habitual declaration. When she finally understood the connection, she changed her words to, "I am filled with energy and life." At first, the new phrase felt false, forced, but she persisted, speaking it with growing conviction until it became her natural response. Gradually, vitality returned. Energy flowed. Her health improved. The subconscious had obeyed both statements equally. The lesson is clear. The law does not distinguish between play and seriousness, only between weak feeling and strong conviction. Your casual complaints carry the same creative power as your deliberate affirmations. The universe responds to the emotional intensity behind your words, not your conscious intentions. Speak carelessly, and you manifest carelessly. Speak with faith, and the kingdom obeys. Chapter 4. The current that shapes all. Why do fears manifest faster than affirmations? Why does one anxious thought ripple through your life like lightning, while days of positive words seem weak as whispers in the wind? You affirm abundance each morning, yet a single worry about bills can unravel weeks of careful mental work. You declare perfect health, yet one symptom can trigger a cascade of fear that manifests exactly what you dread. The disparity seems cruel, almost designed to favor negativity over hope. The answer reveals a fundamental misunderstanding of how consciousness creates reality. Most people approach affirmations like reciting grocery lists mechanically, dutifully, without genuine conviction. They speak beautiful words about prosperity while feeling poor. They declare perfect health while harboring anxiety about their bodies. They affirm love while nursing wounds of rejection. The words float on the surface, while deeper currents of emotion pull in opposite directions. Joseph Murphy explained it simply: the subconscious responds to emotion, not repetition alone. You could chant, "I am wealthy," 10,000 times, but if those words carry no emotional charge, they remain powerless. Meanwhile, a single thought charged with genuine terror, "What if I lose everything?" can remake your entire reality, because fear is one of the most potent emotions humans experience. Fear manifests rapidly because it arrives preloaded with intense feeling. When you imagine losing your job, your heart races. When you picture rejection, your stomach churns. When you envision failure, your palms sweat. These physiological responses signal the subconscious that this mental image is important, real, worthy of immediate attention. The creative mechanism responds by constructing circumstances that match the emotional blueprint you've provided. What is the missing piece? Feeling. The subconscious mind is not a computer processing data. It is a feeling, responsive mechanism that transforms emotionally charged thoughts into physical experiences. Words are merely vehicles. Emotion is the fuel that drives them into manifestation. Why is it crucial? Because feeling is the fire that imprints words onto the subconscious. Without emotional heat, affirmations remain surface-level repetitions that bounce off consciousness like raindrops on stone. But when words are infused with genuine feeling, they penetrate deeply, creating lasting impressions that reshape reality from within. This explains why trauma manifests so powerfully. Painful experiences arrive saturated with emotion, fear, anger, grief, shame. These feelings burn the experience into subconscious memory with such intensity that similar situations recreate themselves for years, even decades later. The emotional charge acts like a branding iron, marking consciousness with patterns that demand repetition. How do you use it? By summoning genuine emotion before you affirm gratitude, peace, or remembered joy, and then speaking from that state. This requires moving beyond mechanical repetition into authentic feeling. Before declaring prosperity, recall a moment when you felt truly abundant. Before affirming health, remember when your body felt strong and vital. Before speaking of love, connect with the warmth of being deeply cherished. Murphy recounted stories of men who affirmed wealth mechanically but saw no change. They spoke the right words at the right times, yet their circumstances remained unchanged. Their affirmations were technically correct, but emotionally barren. Their words were cold, lifeless, empty of the conviction necessary to impress the subconscious mind. But when one man, recalling the profound relief of a past financial blessing, declared with genuine gratitude, "I prosper in all I do," something shifted. The emotion carried the command deep into subconscious soil, where it took root and began to grow. Within months, new opportunities appeared. Prosperity followed naturally, inevitably, as though drawn by magnetic force. The subconscious did not respond to syllables, but to the living heat behind them. It felt the authenticity, the conviction, the emotional truth of his declaration, and began creating circumstances to match that inner reality. The hidden law is this: Words without feeling are shadows. Words with feeling are decrees. Harness emotion, and manifestation becomes inevitable. Chapter 5. Why many fail. Why do so many chant affirmations, visualize diligently, yet remain unchanged? They wake at dawn to speak carefully crafted declarations. They meditate on abundance, health, and love. They follow every technique prescribed by teachers and books. Yet weeks pass, months unfold, and their circumstances mirror yesterday's struggles. The rent remains difficult. The body stays weary. The relationships repeat familiar patterns of disappointment. Meanwhile, others seem to manifest effortlessly. They speak casually of their dreams and watch them materialize. They visualize once and see results. They appear blessed by some cosmic favoritism that bypasses dedicated practitioners. The disparity breeds frustration, doubt, and the dangerous conclusion that manifestation is myth. Why does the law seem to work for some, but not others? The question implies that the law discriminates, that it chooses favorites or requires special qualifications. But Joseph Murphy answered plainly, the law is never broken. It works always, with mathematical precision, for every person in every moment. The problem lies not in the law's inconsistency, but in its perfect consistency. It manifests exactly what you truly believe, not what you consciously desire. What is the error? Contradiction. People affirm abundance while telling stories of lack. They spend 5 minutes declaring prosperity, then spend hours explaining why money is scarce. They visualize perfect health, then immediately catalog their symptoms to friends. They affirm love while rehearsing past betrayals and future fears. This creates a tug of war within consciousness. The morning affirmation pulls toward abundance, while the afternoon complaint pulls toward lack. The evening visualization of health competes with the daily recitation of ailments. The subconscious, receiving mixed signals, follows the stronger emotional current, and negative emotions typically carry more intensity than positive ones. Consider the woman who affirms, "I am attracting my perfect partner," each morning, then spends lunch breaks telling friends, "All the good men are taken." Her affirmation floats on the surface, while her deeper conviction, supported by years of disappointment and cultural programming, pulls in the opposite direction. The subconscious obeys the belief system, not the surface statement. Why does this ruin manifestation? Because the subconscious obeys the dominant emotion, not the polite affirmation. It responds to whatever feeling carries the most conviction, frequency, and intensity. If your complaints about money feel more real than your affirmations of abundance, poverty persists. If your fears about health seem more credible than your declarations of vitality, illness continues. The law works perfectly. It manifests your strongest beliefs. Most people live in constant contradiction without realizing it. They affirm success while explaining why they can't succeed. They visualize healing while discussing their symptoms. They declare love while rehearsing their unworthiness. Each contradiction weakens the desired outcome and strengthens its opposite. How do you correct this? By silencing contradiction and making speech consistent with desire. This requires vigilant self-awareness, catching yourself mid-complaint, stopping destructive narratives before they gain momentum, consciously choosing words that support rather than sabotage your intentions. Murphy told of a businessman who daily affirmed prosperity with genuine conviction. He felt the words deeply, visualized wealth clearly, and believed in his financial success. Yet his circumstances remained unchanged. The mystery persisted until Murphy observed him throughout a typical day. The man's formal affirmations were powerful, but his casual speech contradicted them constantly. "I can't afford it," peppered his conversations. "Money is tight," explained his decisions. "Things are rough," described his situation to anyone who asked. His subconscious obeyed the stronger, more emotional decree, the words spoken with frustration, worry, and resignation throughout each day. The formal affirmations, though sincere, could not overcome the contradictory program running in background consciousness. Lack persisted not because the law failed, but because he unknowingly programmed it to continue. When he finally understood the mechanism, he stopped uttering those casual words of limitation. He refused to explain his circumstances in terms of lack. He aligned all speech with abundance, making every word consistent with his desired outcome. Within months, opportunities multiplied. Wealth came swiftly, naturally, as though summoned by invisible forces. The law never failed him. He had been failing to use it rightly. He had been programming both abundance and lack simultaneously. Wonder why the stronger program won. The truth concealed from many is sobering. You are not learning to manifest, but unlearning how you have been unconsciously manifesting your own defeat. Chapter 6. The Night Gate. What do you whisper to yourself before sleep? In those quiet moments when darkness settles and the day's noise finally fades, what words float through your consciousness? Do you replay the day's failures, rehearse tomorrow's worries, or catalogue your body's aches? Or do you speak gently of gratitude, possibility, and peace? Most people never notice this crucial moment. They drift unconsciously into sleep, carrying whatever random thoughts happen to occupy their minds. They fall asleep worried about bills, anxious about relationships, frustrated with circumstances, or rehearsing conversations they wish they'd handled differently. These final thoughts become the last instructions delivered to their subconscious before 8 hours of uninterrupted mental processing begins. Have you noticed how your mornings often mirror the thoughts you carried into the night? The person who falls asleep worrying about money awakens feeling anxious about finances. The one who rehearses arguments before sleep wakes up irritated and defensive. The individual who drifts off cataloguing physical complaints rises feeling tired and uncomfortable. This is not coincidence, it is the natural result of programming that occurs at consciousness's most receptive moment. Joseph Murphy called this the golden gate of the subconscious. The hour when mental defenses relax, analytical filters disappear, and the deeper mind becomes extraordinarily impressionable. During waking hours, the conscious mind acts like a vigilant gatekeeper, questioning, analyzing, and often rejecting new ideas. But as sleep approaches, this guardian steps aside, leaving the subconscious open to whatever impressions arrive. What is it? The hour when the conscious guard rests and the inner mind accepts impressions without question. In this twilight state, between wake and sleep, the subconscious becomes like soft clay, ready to be shaped by whatever thoughts you press into it. The critical faculty that normally argues with your affirmations falls silent. The doubt that weakens your visualizations disappears. The skepticism that undermines your declarations vanishes. This creates an unprecedented opportunity for programming positive change. Ideas that might face resistance during the day slip easily into subconscious acceptance during these precious moments before sleep. Affirmations that feel forced or artificial in broad daylight can feel natural and believable in the soft darkness of the bedroom. Why is it powerful? Because whatever you affirm before sleep is worked upon all night. While your body rests, your subconscious remains active, processing the final impressions you gave it. It spends 8 uninterrupted hours developing, strengthening, and manifesting whatever blueprint you provided. If you handed it worry, it works all night, creating circumstances that match your fears. If you gave it gratitude, it labors to produce experiences worthy of appreciation. The subconscious never sleeps. During your hours of unconsciousness, it continues its creative work, weaving tomorrow's experiences from tonight's final thoughts. It connects you with opportunities that match your mental programming. It influences your choices and reactions to align with your dominant beliefs. It even affects your physical healing and regeneration according to the suggestions you've impressed upon it. How do you use it? By ending the day with words of peace, abundance, or healing, spoken as if already real. This requires conscious intention rather than passive drift into unconsciousness. Instead of allowing random thoughts to colonize your mind, you deliberately choose the final impressions you want your subconscious to process. Create a ritual of positive programming. As you prepare for sleep, speak words of gratitude for the day's blessings. Affirm tomorrow's success as though already assured. Declare your body's perfect health and regeneration. Feel the emotions of joy, peace, and satisfaction as you imagine your desires fulfilled. Make these final moments a sacred practice of conscious creation. Murphy told of a woman who always worried at night, falling asleep to fears of sickness. She would lie in darkness cataloguing every ache, every symptom, every concern about her health. What if this pain means something serious? She would wonder. What if I'm getting worse? These anxious thoughts became her nightly offering to the subconscious, her final instructions before 8 hours of mental processing began. Her body grew weary, matching her nightly programming. Fatigue increased. Minor symptoms multiplied. Her health declined in direct proportion to her worried bedtime thoughts. She was unconsciously programming illness through her pre-sleep anxiety. When she finally understood the connection, she replaced her ritual of worry with words of healing. Every cell is renewed as I sleep. My body grows stronger and healthier through the night. I awaken refreshed and vibrant. At first, these declarations felt forced against her habitual pattern of concern, but she persisted, speaking them with growing conviction until they became her natural pre-sleep practice. She awoke with vigor. Energy returned. Health returned. The subconscious had simply obeyed her last command, working all night to manifest the healing she had programmed before sleep. The hidden truth is that sleep is not idle. It is the workshop of the subconscious, laboring on the blueprint you hand it. Guard the night gate, and you awaken in the world you desire. Chapter 7. The Morning Seed. What words rise from your lips at dawn? In those first conscious moments when awareness returns and the veil between sleep and waking thins, what sounds escape your mouth? Do you groan about the early hour, complain about obligations waiting, or mutter about tiredness that still clings to your bones? Or do you speak words of possibility, gratitude, and strength into the tender morning air? Most people stumble blindly into consciousness, allowing whatever thoughts happen to surface become their first offerings to the day. They reach for their phones before their feet touch the floor, flooding their minds with news, notifications, and other people's urgencies. They begin complaining before their eyes fully open about the alarm, the weather, the tasks ahead, the sleep they didn't get. These seemingly innocent morning habits carry enormous creative power. The first thoughts and words of the day are not casual observations. They are programming instructions delivered to a subconscious mind that emerges from sleep in its most receptive state. Like a photographer's first exposure setting the tone for an entire roll of film, your morning mental state establishes the vibrational frequency that attracts the day's experiences. Do you begin the day with complaints or with decrees of strength? The difference determines whether you move through your hours as victim or victor, whether circumstances happen to you or through you, whether you react to life or create it. Your morning words are not merely descriptions of how you feel, they are commands that shape how you will feel and what you will experience. Joseph Murphy taught that the morning is seed time for the subconscious. Just as a farmer plants seeds in prepared soil at the optimal season, you plant mental seeds in consciousness at the moment when they are most likely to take root and flourish. The morning mind, emerging from the receptive state of sleep, offers ideal conditions for positive programming. What is it? A fresh canvas upon which the first impressions set the tone of the whole day. During sleep, your consciousness has been cleansed of the day's accumulations. Mental tensions have dissolved. Emotional residues have been cleared. You awaken with a clean slate, a renewed opportunity to direct your creative forces toward desired outcomes. This pristine state resembles the moment before an artist begins a new painting. The canvas waits, empty and full of potential. The first brushstrokes will influence every mark that follows. Similarly, your first conscious thoughts and words establish patterns that ripple through the coming hours, attracting experiences that match their vibrational quality. Why is it vital? Because the mind is still pliable after sleep, ready to accept direction. The analytical barriers that resist positive suggestions during the day remain lowered in the morning twilight between sleep and full consciousness. The doubts that normally argue with your affirmations haven't yet assembled their defenses. The skepticism that undermines your visualizations still slumbers. In this malleable state, your subconscious readily accepts whatever programming you provide. Positive declarations that might feel forced or artificial later in the day can feel natural and believable in the gentle vulnerability of morning consciousness. The seeds of intention planted in this fertile soil grow with less resistance than those scattered throughout the day. How do you use it? By claiming the day with affirmations of harmony, health, and joy before touching the noise of the world. This requires conscious intention rather than unconscious drift into the day's demands. Instead of allowing external circumstances to dictate your first thoughts, you deliberately choose the mental seeds you want to plant. Create a sacred morning ritual of conscious creation. Before checking messages or news, before engaging with others' needs or expectations, spend those precious first moments programming your day with intention. Speak words of gratitude for the gift of another day. Declare your strength, your wisdom, your ability to handle whatever arises. Affirm that divine order governs your activities and that everything works together for your good. Murphy told of a man who used to wake grumbling about the demands ahead. "Another hard day," he would mutter as consciousness returned, already dreading the hours that stretched before him. These words became his unconscious prayer, his request to the universe for exactly the kind of experience he feared. Life obeyed his decree, and each day proved hard exactly as he had programmed it to be. Challenges multiplied, conflicts arose, energy flagged, opportunities turned into obstacles. The universe delivered precisely what he had ordered through his morning complaints, fulfilling his unconscious expectations with disturbing accuracy. When he finally recognized the pattern, He changed his morning ritual to align with his desires rather than his fears. Today, divine order governs my life became his new dawn declaration. I am guided to right action, right decisions, and right outcomes. This day unfolds in perfect harmony. The transformation was remarkable. He found opportunities where once there was struggle, conflicts resolved themselves, energy flowed abundantly. Peace replaced the familiar tension that used to characterize his days. The subconscious followed the seeds sown at sunrise, creating circumstances that matched his new morning programming. The truth is this: the day does not set itself. You set it. External circumstances do not determine your experience. Your response to those circumstances does. Weather does not create your mood, your thoughts about the weather do. Other people do not control your emotions, your interpretations of their actions do. The first words of morning are the brushstrokes that paint your destiny. Choose them with the reverence of an artist approaching a masterpiece, knowing that these initial marks will influence everything that follows. Chapter 8. The Forgotten Law of Agreement. Why do blessings spoken in groups feel more powerful than words uttered alone? Have you noticed how prayers in congregations seem to carry more weight than solitary meditations? How affirmations shared with trusted friends feel more convincing than those whispered in private? There's something electric about unified intention, something that transforms ordinary words into forces that reshape reality with startling efficiency. Consider the difference between affirming alone in your bedroom versus declaring the same words alongside someone who believes with equal fervor. The solitary affirmation might feel tentative, vulnerable to doubt, weakened by the mind's tendency toward skepticism. But when another voice joins yours, something shifts. The words gain substance. The intention feels more real. The possibility becomes more believable. Why do prayers shared by many often manifest with startling speed? History overflows with accounts of group intentions producing miraculous results, healing circles that restore health, prayer groups that resolve crises, meditation gatherings that transform communities. These aren't coincidences or exaggerations. They demonstrate a fundamental law of consciousness that most people never recognize or utilize. When multiple minds focus on the same outcome with genuine belief, they create what might be called a consciousness field, a concentrated energy that penetrates reality more deeply than individual effort alone. This unified field doesn't just add the power of each participant, it multiplies it exponentially, creating manifestation potential far beyond the sum of its parts. Joseph Murphy explained this as the law of agreement. He taught that consciousness operates not just individually but collectively, and that when two or more people unite in thought and feeling around a common intention, they tap into amplified creative power that can produce results with astonishing speed and completeness. What is it? The magnification of manifestation when two or more unite in thought and speech. When you affirm alone, you work with the power of your individual subconscious, but when you join your intention with another's, 9-1, you create a combined force that accesses deeper levels of creative energy. The agreement creates resonance, like tuning forks vibrating in harmony, producing amplified sound that carries farther than either could achieve alone. This principle explains why support groups often succeed where individual efforts fail. When people gathering around shared goals, whether healing, sobriety, or success, they unconsciously create collective energy fields that support each member's individual transformation. The group becomes greater than the sum of its parts, generating momentum that carries everyone forward. Why does it matter? because the subconscious accepts blessings spoken for others as blessings for yourself. This reveals one of consciousness's most beautiful paradoxes. You cannot genuinely bless another without blessing yourself. When you affirm health for a friend, your subconscious records the affirmation as applicable to you as well. When you declare prosperity for a loved one, your own abundance consciousness expands. The subconscious doesn't distinguish between you and me when processing sincere blessings. It hears the words, feels the emotion, and begins creating the conditions necessary for manifestation, regardless of the intended recipient. This is why the most generous people often experience the greatest abundance, not because of some cosmic reward system, but because blessing others programs their own consciousness for similar blessings. This understanding transforms the very nature of manifestation from a selfish pursuit into a collaborative endeavor. Instead of hoarding your positive thoughts and affirmations, you discover that sharing them multiplies their power. Instead of competing with others for limited good, you realize that lifting others lifts yourself. How do you use it? By joining your word with another's, affirming health, abundance, or peace for them, knowing it multiplies within you too. Find someone who shares your understanding of consciousness principles, a friend, family member, or spiritual companion who believes in the power of spoken intention. Create regular practices of mutual affirmation. This could be as simple as daily phone calls where you speak blessings over each other's lives, or weekly meetings where you visualize together each other's success and well-being. The key is genuine emotion and consistent practice. Casual or half-hearted attempts won't access the law's full power. Murphy told of two friends who discovered this principle and decided to test it practically. They agreed to meet daily, either in person or by phone, to affirm prosperity for each other. Each morning, one would declare with sincere conviction, "John is blessed with abundant prosperity. Money flows to him from expected and unexpected sources. He prospers in all his endeavors." Then John would reciprocate with equal feeling and faith. They continued this practice for several weeks, each man focusing more attention on his friend's success than his own. They visualized each other receiving promotions, making profitable investments, discovering new income sources. They spoke these blessings with the same intensity they might have used for their own affirmations. Both soon experienced unexpected promotions and financial blessings. New opportunities appeared seemingly from nowhere. Investments they had forgotten about suddenly paid dividends. Clients they had never met began requesting their services. Each man's subconscious had recorded the daily decree of prosperity as his own reality, creating circumstances to match the programming. The hidden law is this: agreement multiplies. When consciousness aligns with consciousness around common purpose, the resulting force can move mountains that individual effort cannot budge. What you affirm for another cannot help but return to you, pressed down and overflowing, because consciousness recognizes no separation between genuine blessing and personal good. Manifestation is never diminished by sharing, it is amplified. The more people you bless, the more blessed you become. The more success you affirm for others, the more successful you grow. The more healing you speak into other lives, the more whole you become yourself. This principle transforms manifestation from scarcity thinking to abundance consciousness, from individual struggle to collective triumph, from asking for yourself to blessing everyone and watching miracles multiply.